Med shock. Okay guys, so before we get on to today's video, in my mouth. I just want to thank the 900 students that actually believed in MedShark, my own company. Honestly, when I started it, I didn't think that we'd get like 900 students that are, being supported on the UCAT, the BMAT, the interviews, mock interviews, that sort of stuff. So thank you so much for believing in it, first and foremost, because now recently I got some messages back by some of the students that are saying like, thank you so much. And obviously, I don't know, I can't portray this sort of emotion on messages on Instagram, but it's heartwarming. And so some of the new viewers that are on the channel, you can always message for biology, chemistry, physics tuition on MedChat. And one last thing before we get on to today's video, I've recently launched a phone company by the name of Phones Find. Now honestly, it has some of the best prices that I've seen for some of the phones that are available, and legit, like, it's a madness. I'm telling you, you don't believe me, you need to check out the story, you need to check out the Instagram page. You don't even need to follow. I'm just saying, check out some of the prices, some of the stories, the in-face transactions, so you see we're legit, the reviews. Let's get on to the video. Peace. We've all been in this situation where we wake up early in the morning and we tell ourselves, today's the day, I'm finally gonna start working. Get to the table and quite frankly, to our surprise, we're quite fairly motivated. And so we start revising and maybe 40 minutes pass or 50 minutes pass. And then you sort of look over to your side and you see your phone and there are a few notifications. So you say to yourself, should I have a peek? Should I not have a peek? Okay, there's no harm in having a peek. And that peek turns into a scroll, and that scroll turns into a conversation on the GC, having fun with your friends. And at the end of the day, you'll find yourself watching Netflix, spinning around on your bed. Well, hello there people, you can call me Harold. Now honestly, the number of retakes to this video that I've seen is unbelievable. Is it because they like helping people? I wonder why. And so I said to myself, I think I need to join the hype. I need to start getting some of those views. But on a real level, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's Queen G-Star, first year medical student at Queen Mary University of London. Now I don't like saying this intro, I just need to say it so people can take me as an authority. Naughty, naughty. But enough with the cringiness, let's actually get onto the content. So unfortunately, this situation we're all too familiar with. And the sad nature is that for many of us, we've lost the battle even before beginning revision. And no, I'm not going to tell you to invest in a Nokia brick. That's not going to be a part of my advice. But one thing I am going to say is that I've also experienced the exact opposite. So let me bring you on a trip down memory lane. A long time ago, I was taking my GCSEs. And to be fair, wallahi, I was a joke, man. I had 2 days to memorize 140 pages when it came to history, bearing in mind that I only had surface knowledge, superficial knowledge. And I barely scratched the retention of knowledge required to answer questions in the capacity to get the top grade. And I had an English exam on the same day, which was, light work. So painting the picture, the LDS had told me that the new linear spec was something that all students should basically be afraid of. It was going to be too difficult. And so we're all with the gist that GCSEs are in May and June, so it was hot to say the least. On top of that, it was Ramadan, 18 hours of fasting, no food, no drink. And there's something else, and if you know, naughty, naughty. And in terms of workload, it was basically 5 years worth of studying that we were meant to be examined on in the space of a couple of weeks. And I could say that was one of the first instances that I took it to another level. So now let's teleport in time where we're at my second med school exams. Me being silly, I left out all the lectures, which essentially one module consists of 3 weeks. You see this animation I'm doing here, better than some of the others. And so I knew I had to do something about it. So now I had 4 whole days to do what I needed to do, 25 lectures, which was absolutely rough, but as well as the other modules that I left to revise at the end. And so you could say that I had to enter that Zen state of immersion. And so I fully had to rearrange my sleeping schedule, which was an absolute madness. I was eating at different times. I was relocating here and there. It was an absolute madness. And lo and behold, you could probably guess my phone was nowhere to be seen. And yes, I still had fun with my friends at time. And after a long time, I had to re-enter that state, that Zen state of revision. So on the Monday, as my exam was on Friday, I had to revise roughly 15 hours, which is actually not that much, bearing in mind that I had to wake up at 7 and then go sleep at 12. I was watching lectures at double the speed and I had notes that were available to me. May Allah bless the brothers. So this was an absolute mission and a half, and wallahi, I was a little bit proud of myself. But وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And so I'm not saying this is the healthiest way of studying, because it absolutely isn't. And I'm not saying that you should attempt to do this, and like it's better than spaced repetition, active recall, and a combination of, other stuff that usually people mention. But for me, living in East London, I haven't got time. for sitting down every single day revising. I like to just group everything together so that last couple of days I'm banging out revision. And now for the objective of this video, I want to touch on some of the principles, some of the precursors, some of the conditions that allow me, and inshallah ta'ala will allow you to unlock this mode of intense studying and concentration at the task at hand. Now the concept's called flow. It's the same state that allows athletes to perform their best and break world records. It's the same state that allows artists to gain more sins in the music they make. Or potentially UFC fighters that collect their haram paychecks because they're not allowed to be fighting and earning money through it. And it's the same state that allows students to work hours on end with absolute concentration. Now in the 1960s there was a man, his name was Mihai, I don't know how to say his second name, so I'll call him Cyrus. One thing he was able to do is that he recognized the concept of flow, a highly focused mental state conducive to productivity. He was also a distinguished professor of psychology and management at the Claremont Graduate University. And so maybe for fun, he went out of his way to go interview musicians, athletes, and ask them when was this time that they experienced their optimal performance. And so later he defined the state as a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else matters. The experience is so enjoyable that people will continue to do it even at a great cost. And I kid you not, that's exactly what I was feeling. So I wasn't relying on motivation from MT, Mohammed Tim Humble, Abdurrahman Hassan Abu Taymiyyah, or Gary V. None of them. I wasn't looking for a quote on social media telling me that I should study, or I wasn't posting on my story, today I'm going to be studying, because the harsh reality of things are, no one cares, mate. And so now it's all good saying that we need to enter this state of revision, this sort of zen mode of revising, but how? Is it a secret confinement? Do you have to pay me money? Do I need to collect jizya off you? But all the waffling that I was doing from the beginning of the video until now, I'm gonna cut it out and I'm gonna give you certain points that inshallah ta'ala I'm also gonna reference so you don't catch me waffling. And with that being said, let's actually get on to the tips. إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخرين. Now, clarity of memorization or study is so important. And so one should make SMART targets. So S, specific, M, measurable, A, achievable, all the way to that of T, time frame. There should be something that you're able to achieve in the micro. So when you sit down, you should have a specific goal that you want to achieve at the end of the 2 hours. But you should also have a macro goal that potentially at the end of a 7 days worth of revision that you have covered potentially 2 whole modules or 3 whole modules. The purpose of you doing that is that it will reduce the likelihood of you sitting down just highlighting notes. That being said, there's also psychological benefit. For example, a marathon runner will usually perform better if he knows the distance left of the marathon so that he's able to pace himself, increase the speed if it needs to, and by him doing that he'll be able to push at the last kilometer or so. Now, having a macro goal will also make you less gullible and less susceptible to that of distraction. And you should always be asking yourself, what's the purpose of me revising hard for this exam? Is it because you want to pass your exams at the first instance and you don't want to retake later on mid-summer? And by doing so, maybe you'll be able to save up some of the money and you want to be, you want to get married and that, you know what I'm saying? See my linkage in the different videos. I'm not dying out here. I'm just letting you know, because I'm around brothers that these brothers need to get married ASAP. Abu Torab, Dawood, you know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you guys know. Now, tip number 2 is that the task must remain challenging. Now, there's a graph by the same guy, Mihai, which he essentially shows challenge on one of the axes and skill level on another axis. And you'll be able to see just generically, as well as understand, that if a task is too difficult for you to do, you'll probably burn out. The task needs to balance the challenge of the task as well as the skill level of the interlocutor. And Mohammed Hijab is that in it, so I thought, let me sneak it in there, you know? Boy. For example, if a task is too easy for you to do, then you might feel demotivated because you already know how to do it. Now, if a task is too difficult for you, you're going to burn out trying to do the task, but you're not doing it effectively. So it's almost like a positive feedback loop, you know what I'm saying? See, I've heard that in some of the lectures and that, so Allahumma barak to me, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to sneak it in there. So how is this relevant? Maybe you want to increase the number of questions you do per hour, and so you're again increasing the challenge, and by doing so you increase the skills that you have, and then you'll be able to again increase the number of questions and increase it further until every 10 seconds you're answering a question, that sort of stuff. And the third advice is distraction. Now, you could probably hear the word advice, because the other ones that use tips. Ad and then vice. Vice is something bad, and so you could probably tell, remove distractions, phone. phone's bad, chuck your shaitan of a phone away when you're studying. And I'm gonna rob this joke of Anas Nur Ali. I don't care, I'm gonna rob it. You put a mask on your phone and you put him in another room and you social distance from your phone. And inshallah that should be enough for you. Just keep it out of the room. Like, honestly, give it to your parents, unlock it, tell them, look through my internet history while you're studying, because you should have nothing to hide. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Islamics. And for a lot of you people, it's very, very suspicious if your screen time on Safari is like 3-4 hours, but the moment I check, there's nothing that you've been watching. You know what I'm saying? But let's get on to tip number 4, because that third tip is a massive, massive tip, and you guys know it is. Just check your screen time. Now the fourth and final tip is that of consistency. Now the second last analogy is that of a cyclist. When he's on his bike, when he first starts, he's exerting a large amount of effort, but he's not really going anywhere. But now as he keeps that effort going, it becomes easier and he faces less resistance and he travels further and he's seeing more reward for the effort that he put in. And so the advice is to maintain speed and don't start and then stop and then start and then stop. And this fits in lovely with that of the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I believe this in Sahih Muslim, but I'll put a reference on the screen. أحب الأعمال إلى الله أدومه وإن قل, or أدومها وإن قل. I think there might be two. أدومه, I think, is the correct narration. That the best, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, whether they be small. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing more, inshallah ta'ala. And now with that being said, the final tip, the biggest bad boy tip that I can give you is the one that Allah gives. And He says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Your Lord says, make dua to Him so He could answer it. And that's essentially how I'm going to end it. Because it's so important that you ask God, because you're not a one-man army. Do you understand? Your health can go into the bin. You could feel sick. You could get hit by a car as soon as you step outside. You may trip, snap your ankle, everything. I'm telling you, out of me being practicing or training to be a doctor, I see the maddest of conditions. I've seen melanomas coming out of people's heads, cancers coming out of people's heads, patients of multiple sclerosis. Okay, wallah, it's just a madness. All I'm saying is thank Allah for the ni'am, the blessings that He's put on you, because it's so important. The Prophet, peace upon him, says, and again this is in the narration in Imam Nawawi's collection, where he says, ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun minan nas, that two ni'mas that are often neglected by people or continuously neglected are as-sihha wal-faragh, that health and free time. Because the moment your health goes, you're finished. You're not trading, you're not helping out your parents, you're not doing yourself a benefit, your business will go down, your wife, she might leave you if you're continuously ill. You don't know. So thank Allah for the health that He's given you. So for you lot who made it to the end of the video, subhanallah, somehow, I don't know how, but you're at the end of the video, alhamdulillah, and hopefully you've benefited. And guys, this might seem like a mad plug, but trust me, on Instagram, Phones Find, we have the maddest of gadgets, phones, Apple Watches, iPads, iMacs, all available to you at the maddest prices. I just say go check it out, go see what we're saying, whether we're joke men or not. And inshallah on screen you'll be seeing some of the prices, some of the in-face transactions that we do, just so you guys know we're real and we're legit. It's growing slowly, so the subscribers or the followers on the page at the moment might be a little bit shambolic. Right now it's the 7th of March and I haven't really kicked it off yet, but you'll be surprised, inshallah. Now for the brothers and sisters that are here for that of the Deen journey, now the Deen journey, and again I'm not saying I'm some sort of scholar that I compiled a book and if you do this, inshallah, you're going to enter paradise. But the thing that I'm saying is that there is a systematic route, because you need to start off with what benefits you first and foremost. No point speaking about an issue that is not going to concern you. For example, you could speak about khuruj, rebelling against a Muslim ruler, but again that has nothing to do with you. If you don't know how to pray or you don't understand fundamental things about Allah, that is not common, but is something that you are required to understand. So inshallah there's a link in the description box that will give you a sort of outline as to what to follow, whether that be learning Arabic, whether that be understanding Quran, that sort of stuff. Inshallah it will be linked down below. And with that being said, all the calls to action done, you know, if you want to see another banger, go check out my it's How Islam Gives Me Purpose. That's my best video so far out of what I've made. That's my best video, inshallah. And you guys know how to end this. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.